Welcome to KOCO Chronicle, our superintendent roundtable. We want to start with changes. A lot of the changes that you, parents, students, staff will be seeing this year were handed down from the Capitol. Changes to the day, how much time kids will be spending at recess. Soon you'll have to adjust your school calendars to make time for that. Also a big push toward literacy. Everyone chasing the Mississippi miracle. A lot to get to from the Capitol to the classroom. I want to thank you all for being here and being a part of this conversation. Dr. Dudley Darrow with Enid, walk me through how your district decided to tackle the recess mandate. We are now going from 20 minutes to 40 minutes for elementary students.
Sure. So the big thing for us was we wanted to try to match up our days to hours worksheet with our secondary sites, our middle school and high school. So therefore we lengthened the day 20 minutes, 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. That put us to where I believe we're going 5 additional days above and beyond. So if we would run into inclement weather this winter, we wouldn't have to go extra days in May or potentially even June.
Dr. Jamie Polk, Oklahoma City Public Schools, good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
How did you all tackle the recess changes going into this year?
Our middle school 5th graders are in middle school. So where this was not just a one grade band change, we literally had to also look at middle school. And also it's the bus routes in between those bands that were also significant. We had to have at least 40 minutes there.
And so start time and end times are changing for all Oklahoma City Public School students?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so it'll be 20 additional for elementary, then we split middle, and then at the high school, it's the 20 minutes at the end of the day.
Yeah, and a lot of these changes, these were made in the summer. You got to get the messaging out to families. School's going to start at a different time. Yeah. Dr. Rick Cobb, Middell, how did your district tackle this new recess mandate, and do you like it?
So it's funny, when I did an end of session legislative update for my board on June 8th, this is one of the bills I talked about that I liked. It's a block of time that's mandated. Recess is important. Not holding recess over kids as a punishment, I believe in that wholeheartedly. And so having that backing was really good. Our students will be starting instruction, our elementary students, 20 minutes earlier, but that also impacts middle school bus routes. And so as Dr. Polk said, there's a downstream effect for every change that we have to make because our start times are staggered with high school starting first and then middle and then elementary. And so I think that there was good intent behind the bill, behind the law, and I think that something has gone awry during implementation.
Okay. Why is recess important? Dr. Cecilia Robinson Woods, you said that you already are going to be able to kind of absorb this time in the schedule that you already made changes. Why is recess important, especially to the little ones, and how's it going to look in Millwood Public Schools?
So recess is important because play is important. Play is work for young children. And unstructured play is how kids teach themselves how to work with others. It's how they teach themselves to solve problems. It's how they teach themselves to struggle. I think, to Dr. Cobb's point, I think the intent was admirable. I think in deciding that play isn't also instructional is where kind of the concern and where I think the professionals, the people that have studied this probably could have gleaned a little more insight in regards to how this can be seen as instructional. And I think a big piece that's missing in this is you can't add 20 minutes and say go play without teaching teachers how to structure the unstructured play, right? I mean, I don't know if we've taken into account, does everybody have enough facilities for everybody to go outside and play? What happens in inclement weather? So there's lots that has to be worked out over this course of the year. But then I'm hopeful that with feedback and over time and a little bit of trial and error, that the intent of achieving play is achieved.
So your argument is that recess could be considered instructional time. I mean, I certainly know that my children who are quite young, but they're learning when they're playing. They're pushing something down a slide. They're learning
play is
about
work.
It is, and so maybe you would have liked to have seen lawmakers take it from that vantage point instead of this can't count as instructional, your argument is, well, it kind of is instructional.
It not kind of is, it is.
Okay.
Absolutely, Brandon.
It is a philosophy and it's a mindset to think that play can't be linked to instruction. When the truth of the matter is all of our early childhood programs in the very primary stages of life, like you said, your little kids, they're sliding, that's physics. But if we don't understand that as adults and trust that children have that capacity to guide themselves in play, then we decide that it's not important. But it is, if it's important enough to make a law, it ought to be important enough to count as instruction.
Another change that was handed down from the Capitol is this big push on literacy. We have been talking about the Mississippi Miracle, and it seems that our lawmakers at 23rd and Lincoln are trying to recreate that here in Oklahoma. Dr. Kenny Rodriguez with Putnam City. First, welcome.
Thank you.
And congratulations. What is the Mississippi Miracle?
One of the things that they did there was a coordination of efforts, so not only from a state department, but with the schools. So they actually worked together at all different levels to make sure that everyone was available and understood, and all the tables saying, we have to work together. So that was funding, that was legislation, that was all those particular components all coming together and working together to ensure that they could truly move the needle with students and being able to truly read on grade level by the end of third grade, but then looking at every single grade level and up. I'm not sure that we've been able to get to that spot yet, and so I'm excited to at least be able to have that conversation again as we continue to look at what's in the best needs of all of our students, because every single superintendent here is going to be at a different spot with their school district and their communities. Every one of us looks a little bit different, but ultimately we're still trying to accomplish the same thing.
Dr. Josh Delich of Edmond Public Schools, how big of a problem is literacy here in Oklahoma? Do we have students going from third to fourth and then fourth to fifth who can't read, who should have been held back and they weren't? How big of an issue is this from what you've seen and what your teachers are telling you?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is a global, a national issue that many school districts and systems are working through. The literacy, the read, write, speak, how do you bridge that gap? Because it is a gateway to the future and careers of our children. So I think anytime you have opportunities where a state, superintendents, and there's a common focus on literacy, it's a game-changing win because we are focused in on what is going to help position our students for the future, as well as build out collaboration and connection around a key area, which is literacy, and it is a gateway to the success and future of our society. And I know for Edmond School District specifically, we are really excited about our strategic priority and focus that is on a literacy plan that is going to really give more intentionality and focus to how are we bridging the gap of literacy in our system. And so we're very excited as we get into the new year and the support that obviously the focus that the state has on this, which is really exciting for our future here in Edmond, but everybody's future here in Oklahoma as well.
We talk about literacy, Mr. Keith Steiner with UConn, kind of as this abstract thing. But say I have a child who's getting ready to go into third grade. What are the actual changes because of this mandate, this new law, that my child will see in their classroom, or maybe a new teacher, maybe a new textbook? What are the actual changes that it's going to take to implement something like this?
I think it's going to be different from district to district. I mean, from the state level, they're allocating more resources to to reading and instructional specialists, reading specialists. But I think for this conversation for me is, what are we chasing? Are we chasing an outcome? Or are we chasing a test score? What I want to see is what Josh was talking about, is our kids flourishing. And so how do we make that happen? And so I think what parents are going to be surprised to see, and it's not going to be unique to just the urban areas, it's going to be everywhere, is the number of kids that are going to be held back, that are going to be retained. There's going to be a large number of kids that are retained. And so I think our conversation as superintendents and as instructional leaders and as district leaders is how in that system do we still allow our kids to flourish.
As we continue our conversation, speaking of literacy, this is coming up next, the Chromebook crackdown, the latest movement that we are seeing in education across the country, this big push. Where does technology fit in the classroom? How much screen time is too much screen time? The battle over ed tech, next. The Chromebook crackdown. We have seen quite a push, mostly from parents who want to go back to the basics, saying there is too much screen time in schools. Dr. Josh Delich of Edmond, we interviewed a mom recently in your district, and she has joined a national movement, Pencils Over Pixels, and she is asking the district to come up with essentially a unified plan of how is technology going to be used in the classroom, what kind of technology, at what age level. Is there right now a district-wide policy? And if not, what would it take to get there?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really excited about is implementing a technology integration plan that really helps give healthy boundaries in terms of the utilization of technology and where does pencil and pen come in. And I think like every district is working through the balance between what does that look like and how does that sound, how does it feel in the classroom, and what is it needed to move student outcomes and achievement forward. I think there's a lot of great conversation and a lot of really good work that's happening, not just here in Edmond Public Schools, but district-wide and statewide, of how are we working through giving more guidance and understanding. Overall, we're really excited about the work that we're going to be doing, about really building out a framework that helps give guidance and support, while at the same time equipping our teachers to be extraordinarily innovative with the use of technology, but finding that striking balance is going to be exciting, but also challenging at the same time.
I think this really accelerated during the pandemic. You know, we still have to be teaching children somehow. Let's get Chromebooks, like you said, 1-to-1 ratio. Let's take a step back though and walk me through the evolution of technology and how it really became entrenched in the classroom. Should we be doing it this way?
Yeah, that's a great point, and the great point of having balance too. Because we do have to prepare our kids when they leave high school that they're ready for this digital society out there. But are we using too much of it? I think for us, and I think Enid's very similar to other districts, when you think of Chromebooks, a lot of our curriculum, or in fact all of our curriculum, is embedded on that. And so it's so much easier for the teacher, much easier for the student. Instead of carrying 5 books around, they can access it on the Chromebook. So it's something that we are analyzing. It's something that we are auditing and having conversations about.
Who makes the decisions? Who decides how often we're going to use the Chromebook in the classroom? Who decides how often we're going to watch TV? Is it up to the teacher's discretion, or are they given guidance from the district or from the school or even the state?
I think that's a building-based decision, and I want to be sure that we acknowledge that all of our districts are different and our resources are different. So at Millwood Public Schools, I could not offer 10 AP courses without technology. I couldn't offer a foreign language outside of Spanish without technology. And so how we use technology, I think, in every school site, I think varies. And the district, in regards to what Josh said, is there's a framework, right? We want to strike a balance. The amount of interventions that you have to have, as well as the assessments. We don't have the staffing in my school district to have a person do all of that 1-to-1 assessment. And so there has to be a balance, but then there also has to be an acknowledgement that the requirements that are put on us by the state are given blanketly, regardless of a district's ability to have that done by a person or through technology.
It's always been a tool. Go back before COVID, it's always just been a tool for instruction. So as it's grown in popularity, obviously across the country, and as businesses adopt it and things like that, when you go back 20 years, just that's how all of that continues to flow. Our job is to prepare students for the next stage of life. So as we do that, should they be on screens a ton of time in kindergarten through 3rd, 4th grade? No. And so most of us have a balance with all of that. Our job is to set that vision for our school districts, that this is what we should do, and then, as was stated, each individual building, and sometimes the individual teacher has some flexibility within that. That's the whole job of that classroom instructional teacher, to be able to do it. It will never replace the Tier 1 instruction in that classroom.
I think if you go back to the days before we were 1-to-1, if you walked into a classroom and day after day all you saw was a teacher handing out worksheets, kids doing worksheets, kids turning in worksheets, you would not say that's good instruction. And now if all you're doing is replacing that worksheet with technology, it's the same thing. I see great uses of technology in our schools, and I see teachers who don't use it very much at all because they're more comfortable not using it. And so I think it just varies from classroom to classroom. It's instruction, it's assessment, it's collaboration. There are multiple good uses of technology that we're seeing right now. And I'm also somebody who wants to see students writing, and I want to see the devices put away. And I think for the most part, our students know when to have their devices out and when not to have them out.
I'm grateful for the conversation. I look forward to what those boundaries and guardrails will come about. The discussion is priceless.
So has it gotten out of hand? Mr. Steiner with UConn, has it gotten out of hand? Are we on screens too much?
I don't know that it's gotten out of hand. I think the perception that it's gotten out of hand. I think the way that we need to look at it is technology should enhance, not replace. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to focus on. And so our conversation has been about, okay, so what does that look like at the early levels? They've mentioned, preparing kids, every assessment that we give through the state, every, benchmark, it's all done through technology. And so we have to make sure kids are prepared for that, but we also want to make sure that we're giving the teachers the freedom and treating them as professionals to be that professional in their classroom. So if technology is being used to replace instruction, that's not a proper use of it. But if you're using it to enhance instruction, I think that's where we need to keep our focus.
As our conversation continues, we are certainly going to be talking about this. We all saw the horrifying scene play out at Pauls Valley High School. The principal wrestling down a gunman, getting shot in the process. School safety when we come back. An alleged former student armed with a gun is able to get inside Pauls Valley High School. Documents say his plan was to carry out a mass shooting. The principal jumps into action, wrestling the gun away, getting shot in the leg in the process. This story and the video reignited the conversation around school safety. Again, I realize that this is a different district, but what went through your mind when you heard the news of this happening and then you saw the security video?
First of all, that principal is an angel. Hero. Didn't even think about regard for his own self or anything else, just went right into action, which I think for those of us that care for children, it's usually how it goes, right? You never even stop, you respond. And I think his actions demonstrate what we live every day is student safety is everybody's responsibility. So I think school safety really doesn't start with how can we arm schools more to protect us from the outside. School safety starts with how do we build better relationships with our children and our communities and our staff so that people feel safe and obligated to make sure that others around them are safe.
Yeah, it's a community-wide conversation. Like, this isn't just about schools, but that may have reignited that conversation in the communities, but we never stop thinking about it every single day. It is a constant conversation with our community, with our families, with our school districts, with our administrators, with our staff. It never stops for us because it's constantly evolving. So we are constantly looking at what is the latest, what is the greatest, what do we need to do differently, but it's always going to go back to building relationships with our students and our families.
I'd say that you also have to factor in facilities, what you have done to make your facilities as secure as possible, but also consistency with procedures. We can put all of the locks on doors that we want, all of the swipers on our vestibules that we want, but if there's a back door propped open somewhere, or somebody not following the safety procedures we have in place, then it puts a lot of people at risk. And so those are the things that we have to be vigilant about. And then when there is a lapse in procedure, communicating the why is really important too. That, we want to keep people safe, and it's not that we want to nitpick everybody for every little thing. We just, we want to keep people safe. And then on the flip side of that, having reunification procedures in place so that if something happens, you have a way of organizing the chaos and getting people back to their adults.
I think it's all 7 of us, it's our worst nightmare.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's our number one priority every day, and you're never done. You've never fully checked the box, so it's something you got to be aware of every day we have school. Every school event we have, it's our top priority and always will be.
I see some of you getting emotional,
Yeah.
Talking about this. So what went through your mind when you started to hear, as the news started to kind of trickle in of, oh my gosh, this has really potentially taken place inside one of our own?
I think when these things happen, it's near and dear to your heart. You want to wrap your arms around the people that are impacted. You want to do everything you can to support people that are grieving or going through a lot of extreme trauma. At the same time, you also in these roles constantly are asking, what can we do to get better at what we have currently in place? What processes, what procedures, what new thing can we do to keep that number one priority in alignment to the safety of our students, the safety to our staff, the safety to our community. I also think, you go back and it's the reminder of why we do drills constantly, day in, day out, month to month, year to year, why you practice, why you do this. And oftentimes we may lose sight of why we practice, but when these things happen, that is why you practice, so that you have an immediate response, that people know what to do, what needs to happen, and you can carry out the best scenario in the worst circumstances possible. For families and students, we don't operate out of fear. We operate out of resilience, of knowing that we are creating environments that are going to drive the best outcomes for our children in our schools.
Dr. Polk, I saw you really nodding and smiling
Yeah.
when he was.
Because he's spot on in regards of we do not act in fear, but resilience. But when something such as this happens, immediately I say to myself, does everyone know their role? Do you know what is expected of you? For instance, have you had the conversation with your own child? If this happens, this is what I expect of you. This is our rally point. For me, that's the hope that in that situation, we've done in peacetime what is needed for our students and families to know that we have them.
What has changed in your schools when it comes to educational safety, when it comes to securing your buildings since Uvalde?
Well, I know in Yukon we put in vestibules, secured vestibules for access control to make sure that we can somewhat control that environment, who's coming in and out of the building. But I want to go back to what Cecilia said, because I think this is the point that I think a lot of people miss, is the relationship side of it, is because very few of these people that are doing this are acting in isolation.
Right.
Somebody knows about this, and so the more that you can build the relationships with kids, where they trust you, and the SRO relationship with kids is immeasurable. Because when they build relationships, there's a certain level of trust there that kids have with them. That relationship piece of this, I think, is so invaluable to helping keep these things from happening in school, because they're just tragic.
It's interesting you all are talking about prevention almost from the inside out being more effective as opposed to the outside in,
Right. Well, and I think we'd be remiss if we did not mention the dollars that the state has granted to help all of us, whether it be small or not. For me, it's big. For Oklahoma City, it's very small. But
We're
that
grateful.
they have, we're grateful for every dollar, and the acknowledgement that keeping people safe does cost, right? Back to, at the end of the day, we run buildings with humans. And, if everyone knows it's their responsibility to make sure that door is closed when they come in, if everyone knows it's their responsibility to walk through that detector or to do whatever you have to do to get in and access, if everybody knows that they have to carry the clear backpack and why they have to carry the clear backpack.
As we continue, we certainly have not forgotten that this is an election year. We have elections coming up. Who do these school leaders want to be their school leader? What are they looking for in a state superintendent? A new governor? Are they willing to endorse? We will see. But first, what are the biggest needs right now when it comes to positions in schools? And what is being done to keep the great and specialized teachers that we have now? Next. Welcome back to KOCO Chronicle, our superintendent roundtable. My next question, is anybody hiring?
Yes.
What are the biggest needs right now in our schools across Oklahoma?
Teachers, more teachers.
Can we
support
get some
positions.
teachers?
Yeah, some teachers. Well,
Bus drivers.
And a support staff, yeah, there we go.
We're having job fairs all the time, support fairs. I mean, it's really every position you can think of. we have needs, and elementary all the way up through high school, special ed, specific curriculum areas. Early childhood has become a bigger need. I don't know if that's
Yes.
true for everyone, but that's
Oh, that's
been,
interesting.
Yeah.
More elementary?
It is.
Elementary, okay. So bus drivers, obviously just teachers across all fields. You mentioned special ed.
Yep.
Are these trends that all districts are seeing?
Definitely
Well,
special ed.
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
across the country.
Yeah.
And also you mentioned support staff. What exactly does that mean? What is that job?
Paraprofessionals who work in our special needs classrooms, teachers, assistants, secretaries, bus drivers, child nutrition.
Custodians.
Just the gamut.
Non-certified.
What are the specialties? What are the areas that are hardest to fill?
Music teachers. It's really hard. It's a dying art. So, I mean, finding people who want to spend time with young people. Music is so important to reading development, math development, especially at the young ages. So finding good music teachers is been really hard.
And if I may share, I think the more specialized
Yeah.
subject area is
Yeah.
the harder to
Yeah.
fill. And I'll just put the elephant in the room, and it's in regards to the pay. So I can't ask someone with a specialized area to come for minimum pay. So that has been the dance in regards of how do we actually get the positions filled. We currently are sitting at about 96% filled, but that has taken consistent work.
Substitute teachers is another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a hard position to fill. To have somebody regularly, things happen, you get teachers maternity leave, so finding qualified subs, people that are willing to make $125 a day.
We've also taken advantage of the OTEP program. When we first
Yeah.
started out, I think we had 36 teachers that we have a very stringent rubric in regards of how we are allowing our teachers to train each other. And rather than me bring someone or fly someone in, our teachers are doing that training through the OTEP, which is another gift from the State Department. And
Teacher
and-
empowerment.
This is year 2 for us when we've had great success with it. So
Yeah. So
Growing for us too.
Where do you all stand when it comes to, you mentioned those who maybe are looking for a different career, when it comes to emergency certified teachers? What is the percentage, and do you see this as a positive, a net positive? Someone coming in who maybe has a different background, or is it more of a net negative, someone who isn't specifically trained in education? Where are we on emergency certified teachers?
our numbers are significantly lower. At one particular time, we were hitting 600. However, using our old teachers to actually walk alongside an emergency certified teacher in the same field, they're actually helping them get their certification. And so we're just under 400 now.
Okay.
But it's a conscious effort to work on in regards of, and please note, I want everyone to know, sometimes an emergency certified is just as valuable as a traditionally certified because of the knowledge base they bring to the table.
So I think it's important to note that private schools don't have to have certified teachers. Charter schools don't have to have certified teachers. Public schools have to have certified teachers, right? And so when we look at that and we think of the connotation of a charter and a private, you ask yourself, what's the difference? The difference is they value the life experience, they value the work experience that they bring to the classroom. And so having a person who has chosen to teach biology after they've been a nurse and that didn't work out for them and they wanted to get on a schedule that's the same as their child, that to me is an advantage, right? It's not somebody teaching biology in isolation, it's someone teaching biology who's lived it. And so I think being able to put people in areas that make sense and then supporting them to get to certification is just as valuable.
I think if you took the 7 of us and you tagged out in the wild all of our new hires this year for the upcoming school year, everybody who's new to teaching, and you kept track of which ones were traditionally certified and which ones were emergency certified, and you came back in 5 years or 10 years, I think the percentage of teachers that are traditionally certified, there's going to be a higher percentage of them that are still in the classroom. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Absolutely.
And so for the long game, we need to have our teacher pipeline, that traditional teacher pipeline, replenishing. But in short term, situations, we have had emergency certified teachers who've come in and done a really good job and who've then followed that up. And I think that what we've done is gotten better over time at helping our emergency cert people gain full certification, and then they stick around longer. I mean, all of us want to hire people who will stick around.
Absolutely.
And be with our kids for a long time.
You mentioned the pipeline. Are we seeing basically the same amount of college students going into education fields? Is that dwindling, or is that holding pretty steady when you talk about kind of the pipeline and people wanting to go into this field?
What I've heard lately from the colleges is that it's actually ticking up a little bit.
Ticking up a little.
It's not as, we're not at the lowest point anymore.
No.
But we're not where it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It varies on institutions, you know, in our eyes, and maybe some are seeing a dip. But I think one of the things that school districts are extraordinarily intentional about is that ongoing, once our staff are in buildings and in our system, what are we doing intentionally to support them, train them, coach them,
Retain them.
retain them, really focusing on that effort, which oftentimes can get overlooked when you're trying to get, versus what you have is what you've got, and how do you continue to move your district, your teachers, and support them in an environment that's going to be engaging, that's going to be innovative, that's going to be highly stimulating, so that people in those schools and in those systems recognize the amount of impact and change that they are making in the lives of kids.
When we come back, we are talking politics and elections. Coming up. Oklahomans have big decisions to make, and as we continue to talk with our district superintendents, there will soon be a new state superintendent. I'll show you the candidates here. We have a runoff for the Republican nomination, Robert Franklin versus James Taylor in that runoff. And then on the Democratic side, Janetta Marshall. If you all want to endorse and say who you really like to be the leader of Oklahoma schools, I'm not going to stop you. But otherwise, pregnant pause, otherwise, what are you looking for in the next state superintendent who you will be working closely with?
I think that when we're looking for people to not just lead education, the state superintendent, but shape policy in general, I think we're looking for people who understand what public education is, and honestly, we want to avoid people who just repeat whatever the hottest conspiracy theory is that's going around at a given time. And there are candidates in the race that really have an investment in public education of their time and their careers, and understand what happens in school buildings day to day and have plans for fixing it.
It's not us versus them, it's us collectively together working for kids. And I think that's the conversation that we need to have is it's not, we're not, any of us here are anti-charter, anti-private, we're pro-kid. And so we want somebody who's willing to work with us. We lead public schools.
Support would be one thing. Support and collaborations has already been mentioned, but I would just encourage everyone to get out and vote. We live in such a wonderful country where we have that ability to get out and vote.
If I can share, and just even for those who are sitting here, for others to know, we may not stand here or sit here and publicly endorse a candidate, but I want everyone to know when we meet as a collective group, it's pretty powerful. And by that I mean when we meet in our superintendent's meeting, we can collectively get our voice across.
What I was going to share also is this is a fraternity of professionals. And so when we walk